So in this set, what you guys are going to do is they are asking us find all the values of x algebraically for which the algebraic expression is not defined. Okay? I don't really care about you supporting your answer graphically, but here's what we need to make sure we do. Ladies and gentlemen, when we began this course, we talked about two constraints that we have on our variable x. And besides that, we've been pretty consistent with that. We've only talked about a couple other constraints. Guys, I'd highly recommend that you just be paying attention for these short little clips, because for the rest of the class is going to be all you. So you can spend a lot of that time doing whatever you guys need to do as far as discussing problems. What we talked about was when you have x in the denominator, x cannot equal 0. And when you had x under a radical, x had to be greater than or equal to 0. Do you guys remember those? We went over them a lot. A lot of you guys had a really big trouble with that, remembering that information. These are the only two constraints that we discussed at the beginning of the year. Only two. It's only two constraints. We talked about a little bit more once we talked about cos-inverse functions. And once we get into logarithms, I can go over more restraints. But these are the only two restraints that we have, that we've talked about with functions. So does my square root of x minus 16 fall into one of those restrictions? Yes. We know that that needs to be greater than or equal to 0. So all I do is take my radicand, and I set it greater than or equal to 16. So then I solve for 16, or solve for x, to find the values of 16 or of x that will satisfy this expression. And what we see is x has to be greater than or equal to 16. Okay? Just remember, if a random example, what if the problem was this? What if my expression was that? What do we know? What is the only values of x that x cannot be that would not satisfy this equation? Well, when x is equal to 0, right? Or we can't have the denominator equal to 0. So what you would do is just say x minus 16 equals 0. So you set your denominator equal to 0, and then you solve. So we'd say x cannot equal 16. Right? So you guys are going to be doing two different types of problems there. It's either going to be a rational expression or a radical expression. But just try to find the constraints that do not satisfy